These tappy jar are so majestic when they fly.
I know, I've got to be honest, I don't really give a shit about how they fly, as long as they remain in that pen.
Why did you even become a ranger for a dinosaur theme park?
Money! What else?
This is HQ to Ranger 1. Ranger 1, come in.
This is Ranger 1. We read you.
We need your team to run a welfare check on the Utahraptors.
Copy that. We're on our way.
I swear, can we have a break for 10 minutes?
I mean, what did you expect? This is literally our job.
Oh, let's just get it over and done with.
Okay, I guess let's start with a head count.
These things actually seem pretty terrifying. I like them.
Okay, seems like all heads are accounted for and they seem to be doing fine.
Wait, it looks like that one has a limp.
Okay, let's call it in. This is Ranger 1 to HQ. All Utahraptors are acting normal, except one of them seems to be walking with a limp.
Copy that. We'll send a medical team to look further into it. Afterwards, stand by for further orders.
Roger that, we're on our way back. What is up, my fellow dino peoples of the world? Welcome back to episode 4 of Dinotopia, where in this episode we began kind of finishing up the park with adding the Utahraptor enclosure and also adding the, adding pterosaurs to the aviary. I started, of course, with the Utahraptors, and may I just say the Utahraptors are probably, very unpopular opinion, but I do think the Utahraptors are probably one of the coolest variants of raptors out of, compared to Velociraptor, Raptor, etc., list goes on. I do personally believe that the Utahraptor is probably one of the coolest, mostly just because, just its size. If you look in the, Jurassic Park franchise, you see, the Velociraptors. In reality, they're not that size, but if you look at the Utahraptors, they are really damn tall. Or, they're really big, which is, one of the reasons why they're my favorite. And also, I don't know, they just, the look of a Utahraptors looks really cool. But anyway, back to the park. I obviously began, constructing the fence, and then once I did that, I added the viewing galleries by connecting up, and also connecting up the paths as well. Spent a little bit trying to make sure everything was level, trying to make it so it all kind of fit with the whole theme of the park, very tropical, beachy, etc. It's kind of hard, too, for the Utahraptors, because they have a very large, they have an obsession with mostly forests in their enclosures, and you'll see me trying to figure that out in a bit. Yeah, I'm already just trying to cover up the bad fencing that I placed down in the back, and just trying to make it so the enclosure's mostly mostly forest, and yet the guests could still see the species, because it's really annoying to figure that out. While I do love the Utahraptor, I will admit their needs in this game are very picky, I guess you could say. Then I started to add the carnivore signs just to make sure you were 100% aware that there are carnivores here. Then I began adding the Utahraptor once I actually found them. Basically gave them a random pattern and just waited for them to kind of hang out. Wait for them to actually grow. Once I did that, I then waited a few minutes and then released them to the enclosure. I decided to go with 6 Utahraptors because I figured 4 would be a bit too little, but 8 would be too much. So I just went with a nice middle. We'll just go with 8. We'll go with 6, and it just worked out. Yeah, I spent a long time basically just looking at the Utahraptors before adding their food and all that, just making their enclosure look relatively nice. Once I found out that they actually did like the enclosure, I spruced it up a little bit. Realized that their forest was a bit too little, but that was because they were just exploring their enclosure, so I checked in a little bit just to see if they liked it then, and turns out they did. They really did seem to like the enclosure. Oh yeah, if you're wondering why I'm constantly pausing during this recording, it was because I don't know why. I was listening to music while I was doing all this, so that would probably be me switching up my music to something different. Yep, there we go again. So let's see, I added 2 more Utahraptors, and then I began also releasing Tapijara and some other species into the aviary. I forgot which specific species. It's a bat-looking species. I remember that. And the reason why is just I don't know, I just thought that species looked cool. I'll probably figure it out in a minute. It was the JWE2. I don't know if I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but yeah, that's what I added. And I mostly just did it because I don't know, the JWE2, whatever that is. I've never heard of that species before, but all I know is they look really cute. They're like basically, if you give a puppy wings, that's what the best way to compare it. They're really adorable in my opinion. And basically I tried to add a fence in the back because I thought it would look nice, and then I realized, wait a minute, I could find another way to show off the pterosaurs, and I did that by adding a gyrosphere to the aviary, because I figured, a Jurassic tour, we already got that, and also, would you trust going in, just a basic truck inside a place with flying dinosaurs? I don't think so. So, I created the gyrosphere. I spent forever just trying to manage how the path would work, because, it was a bit of a pain. I even, I had it so it went, through one of the paths in kind of a walkway kind of fashion, because, cool, it was really cool that the game allowed you to do this, and it made it so much. It was cool just to make this enclosure. I had fun. And then I made a kind of a cool little a nice little not exotic, but I guess a nice just route where you can just look at stuff, just look around and see stuff. And I even made it more of a viewing gallery I made it more of a viewing area when I actually started to modify the path itself. I tried to add just some aesthetic stuff that made it look nice. Right after I basically just watched the aviary for a while, and then I tried to cover up that fence, but there's nothing I can really do. And then I had an amazing idea where I could just add after I placed down a few signs, I basically came up with a really cool idea for the gyrosphere, which was primarily to kind of make it seem like I don't know, I guess a summary of the park, and basically just a cool little presentation of the park. And in doing so, I added a few of the skeleton aesthetics that were in there, like the Spinosaurus one, the T-Rex and Brachiosaurus one. I added the random branch. I added Mr. DNA there as well, because I thought that was pretty cool. And then I even added a little bit of not necessarily a tunnel, but I guess more of a a weird passageway kind of situation into that little way where you just saw a bunch of skeletons, and it looked pretty cool when I was building it. So I'm pretty happy about this one specifically. It just looked really nice. And yeah, I have no regrets building this thing. I added another Mr. DNA, and then I added the When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth sign, because I figured it'd be a nice little introduction to the park, even though you would have probably already seen the by the time you make it to this enclosure, you would have already seen the Jurassic tour and the petting zoo, so I don't really I don't really know why I waited this long to put it here, but I did, and it looked really nice. I like it. Yeah, I basically have been falling in love with the seed plants, forestry. It just looks really nice. Oh yeah, I kept having issues with the gyrosphere as well, because they kept like, every time I reset it, it would reset the direction the gyrosphere went, so we would have a few jams here and there. And then I kind of just looked around, just kind of tried to see if I tried to do the reinforced fence thing, and then realized that would take way too long to do. And then, yeah, I flattened out some of the area to make it, like, be a bit nicer for the gyrosphere. And then I even took a gyrosphere and just went to see how the enclosure looked. Even raced with a few of the gyrospheres as well, and got stuck in a tree once or twice. But yeah, I went through and, oh boy, that tour, that was an experience, man. What can I say? After I finished the tour, I realized we actually made it to 5 stars, and I realized I should probably prepare for the final episode, which will be coming soon. Don't worry, you will have Space News back, audience. Don't worry. But I basically made a little secretive enclosure. Not like Indominus level secrecy, but pretty secretive, where you won't necessarily be finding this thing okay. It's an enclosure where, like, unless you're trying to look for it, you're not going to see it. If that makes any sense whatsoever. Probably doesn't. But I spent forever just trying to get the gate to reach the corner. And that pretty much summed up everything that I did. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And this is the Jurassic Genius signing off. See you guys next time.